The internet is on fire tonight, and fans are shocked as a rumor that refused to die has finally exploded into full-blown chaos. For years, viewers have watched power couple Yandy Smith and Mendeecees Harris navigate fame, family, and controversy on Love and Hip Hop. But tonight, everything you thought you knew about their ironclad position on the franchise is being called into question. Whispers that once lived in shady comment sections and late-night live streams have allegedly reached the producer level, and what's being hinted at has left the fandom reeling. It started with a single, cryptic message. A so-called insider, a producer, tired of the lies. And then the words that sent shockwaves through the culture: they're done. Within minutes, timelines erupted. Group chats lit up. Fans replayed old scenes with new eyes, dissecting every argument, every side eye, every moment where emotions ran high and the cracks may have already been showing. Was this always building towards something bigger? Or did a secret betrayal finally push the powers that be over the edge? According to this explosive, allegedly leaked account, a long simmering conflict behind the scenes reached a boiling point, one that cameras never caught. We're talking about closed-door meetings that turned heated, accusations that cut deep, and a decision that may have blindsided even the most seasoned reality TV veterans. Sources claim that what unfolded wasn't just about contracts or screen time. It was personal, it was emotional, and it left the family divided in ways no one saw coming. Imagine this: producers pacing, phones buzzing, security on standby. Imagine Yandy, fiercely protective of her legacy, demanding answers. Imagine Mendeecees, already under the microscope, feeling cornered and betrayed. Now imagine the rest of the cast watching in stunned silence, unsure whose side to take as alliances quietly shifted. Fans are shocked not just by the rumor itself, but by who is allegedly backing it, and why now, after all these years. And here's where it gets even messier. Because if this confirmation is real, it doesn't just rewrite the future of the show, it reopens old wounds. Past storylines suddenly feel like foreshadowing. Old feuds take on new meaning. And questions explode louder than ever. Who really pulled the plug? What final straw sealed their fate? And is this truly the end, or just the beginning of an even darker chapter? Stay right here, because what you're about to hear is the most dramatic, jaw-dropping version of this story yet, and once you hear it, you'll never watch Love and Hip Hop the same way again. The cameras were already rolling, but nobody expected the tension to cut this deep. What started as a regular production day slowly turned into something nobody on set would ever forget. Crew members whispered to each other, assistants avoided eye contact, and the air felt thick with secrets that had been buried for years. Yandy walked onto the set that morning confident, composed, dressed like a woman who believed her throne was untouchable. Mendeecees followed behind her, quieter than usual, his jaw tight, his eyes scanning the room like he already knew something was wrong. Fans would later say this was the moment everything shifted, even if nobody realized it yet. Behind the scenes, producers were already in crisis mode. There had been calls all night, heated conversations that ended abruptly, and one emergency meeting that stretched into the early hours of the morning. A senior producer slammed their phone down on the table and said the words nobody thought they'd ever hear out loud. This has gone too far. No cameras, no microphones, just raw frustration. What the audience didn't see was years of built-up resentment finally boiling over, and Yandy and Mendeecees were right at the center of it. Yandy sensed it immediately. She noticed the way production avoided her gaze, the way her usual handler was suddenly busy. She pulled one of the assistants aside, her voice calm but sharp. "What's going on?" The assistant froze, lips parting, then closing again. "Nothing, everything's fine," they lied badly. Yandy smiled, but inside, alarms were blaring. She had survived too much in this industry to ignore energy shifts like this. Mendeecees leaned in close and muttered, "They're moving weird today." Yandy nodded. "Stay close," she replied. As filming began, the scenes felt off. Conversations were shorter. Reactions were colder. Even cast members who normally gravitated toward Yandy kept their distance. One castmate whispered to another, "Did you hear what happened last night?" The other shook their head but looked nervous. Fans are shocked now looking back at the footage, realizing how many warning signs were hidden in plain sight. Then came the moment that changed everything. A producer asked Yandy to step aside for a quick chat. She followed them into a small room, assuming it was about storyline adjustments or scheduling. Instead, she found 3 executives already seated, faces stone cold. The door closed behind her with a soft click that sounded louder than a gunshot. "What's this about?" Yandy asked, crossing her arms. No one answered right away. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Finally, one of them spoke. "There have been ongoing issues." Yandy laughed once, sharply. Issues? I carry this show. Another executive leaned forward. That's exactly the problem. Yandy's smile vanished. Explain yourself. The words that followed hit her like a slap. Accusations of behind-the-scenes manipulation. Claims of contract disputes. Whispers that storylines were being controlled, not produced. And then the most explosive accusation of all, something involving Mendeecees that had allegedly crossed a line production could no longer ignore. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was left outside, pacing back and forth. He could see raised voices through the frosted glass, could feel that something serious was happening. He stopped a crew member and asked, "Where's Yandy?" The crew member shrugged. Meeting. Mendeecees scoffed. Since when do meetings take this long? His phone buzzed. A message from someone he didn't expect. Just 3 words. It's not good. Inside the room, Yandy's voice rose. After everything I've given this show, this is how you come at me? Emotions ran high. One producer fired back, this isn't about loyalty anymore, it's about control. Yandy slammed her hand on the table. You don't control me. The tension was unbearable. Years of mutual dependence shattered in minutes. When the word fired was finally implied, not directly said but hanging heavy in the air, Yandy felt the ground shift beneath her feet. She stormed out of the room, eyes blazing. The hallway went silent. Mendeecees rushed toward her. What happened? He asked. Yandy didn't answer at first. She just shook her head, trying to hold it together. Finally, she looked at him and said, "They're trying to erase us." Mendeecees' face hardened. They can't. Yandy swallowed. They might. Other cast members watched from a distance, pretending not to stare. One whispered, "I've never seen her like that." Another replied, "This is bad, like really bad." The family was left divided before anyone even understood why. Some felt sympathy. Others felt relief. Alliances quietly shifted in real time. Later that day, another meeting was called, this time with Mendeecees present. The tone was colder, more final. Accusations were repeated. Defenses were raised. Mendeecees finally snapped. You all used us for ratings, and now you're done? A producer replied calmly, this isn't about ratings anymore. That's when Mendeecees realized this decision had already been made long before this room. Yandy tried one last time. She spoke not as a star, but as a woman fighting for her family. You're not just cutting a contract, she said, voice cracking. You're messing with our lives. One executive looked away. Another sighed. We understand how you feel. Yandy laughed bitterly. No, you don't. By the time they walked out, word had already begun to spread. Phones buzzed nonstop. Bloggers got anonymous tips. Fans sensed something was coming even before the rumors hit social media. Yandy and Mendeecees left the building without looking back, but the damage was already done. What nobody knew yet was that this was only the beginning, because the fallout from this moment would drag friends into enemies, expose secrets long buried, and push this family into the most public fight of their lives. The moment they stepped outside, the reality finally hit. The doors closed behind them, and with that sound, a chapter they thought was unbreakable began to crumble. Yandy stood still for a second, staring at her reflection in the glass, trying to steady her breathing. Mendeecees put his hand on her back, firm but uncertain. We're not done, he said, more like a promise to himself than to her. Yandy nodded, but her eyes told a different story. She had been in this game too long to ignore what she had just seen. This wasn't a warning. This was a setup. Their phones exploded before they even reached the parking lot. Messages from cast members asking vague questions. Calls from friends who just wanted to check in. And then the blogs. One headline popped up, then another. Fans are shocked as speculation spread like wildfire. Is Yandy being pushed out? Is Mendeecees the reason? Nobody had answers yet, but everyone had opinions. Yandy scrolled silently, her jaw tightening with every post. They're already spinning it, she said. Mendeecees slammed the car door shut. Let them. We'll speak when we're ready. But back inside the building, the drama was far from over. Producers regrouped, voices raised again, tempers flaring. One junior producer asked the question nobody wanted to answer. What if this blows back on us? Another snapped, it already has. There were concerns about backlash, about fans turning on the network, about the optics of cutting off one of the most recognizable faces of the franchise. But the decision, they insisted, had been unavoidable. Lines were crossed, one executive said quietly. And we let it go on too long. That night, Yandy and Mendeecees sat in their living room, lights off, the TV glowing with muted news coverage and social media clips. Yandy replayed moments from past seasons in her mind. Every argument, every confessional, every time she fought to protect her image and her family. They let me bleed for this show, she said suddenly. Mendeecees looked at her. What do you mean? She turned to him, eyes glassy. Every time they needed drama, it was us. Our marriage, our kids, My reputation. Emotions ran high as years of resentment poured out all at once. Mendeecees stood up, pacing. They're acting like I'm the problem again, he said bitterly. Like everything we built doesn't matter. Yandy flinched at that. Don't do that, she said softly. This isn't just about you. He stopped pacing and looked at her. Isn't it? The room fell silent. It was the first crack between them, and it hurt more than anything the producers had said. The next morning brought more chaos. A so-called producer confirmation leaked online. No names, no official statement, just enough to set the internet on fire. Fans are shocked as clips resurfaced, dissected frame by frame. People pointed fingers. Some blamed Yandy's alleged control behind the scenes. Others accused Mendeecees of bringing too much negative attention. The comment sections turned brutal. They got what they deserved, one post read. The show will never be the same without them, said another. The family was left divided, not just at home, but in the court of public opinion. Yandy finally broke her silence with a cryptic post. No names, no explanations, just a quote about loyalty and betrayal. Within minutes, it went viral. Cast members reacted in subtle ways. Likes, unfollows, indirect comments. One longtime friend privately messaged her, I didn't think they'd really do this. Another sent a warning. Watch who you trust right now. Yandy read every message, her trust in people shrinking by the second. Meanwhile, Mendeecees got a call that sent him over the edge. It was someone from production, not an executive, but close enough to know the truth. Off the record, the voice said, this was bigger than one incident. Mendeecees clenched his fist. Then what was it? A pause. Power. The call ended, leaving him staring at his phone in disbelief. That word echoed in his mind as he confronted Yandy later that day. They think you're too powerful, he said. Yandy looked at him sharply. We're powerful, she corrected. He hesitated. That's not how they see it. Her expression hardened. So what are you saying? He sighed. I'm saying they were already looking for a reason. Yandy's voice dropped. And they used us. As days passed, the tension at home grew heavier. Lawyers were consulted. Contracts were reviewed. Every clause felt like a trap in hindsight. Yandy discovered language she swore hadn't been there before. They planned this, she said. Mendeecees nodded slowly. Or they waited until it was convenient. Neither option made the betrayal easier to swallow. Then came the call that truly shattered her. A castmate she had defended publicly for years went live online, hinting that some people let fame get to their head. Yandy watched in disbelief. After everything? She whispered. Mendeecees turned the phone off. This is how it starts, he said. They're turning people against us. The family was left divided as former allies quietly chose sides. Late that night, Yandy sat alone, scrolling through old photos from the early seasons. Back when it felt like a family. Back when the drama felt controlled, almost playful. Tears streamed down her face as she realized that version of the show, and maybe that version of herself, was gone. When Mendeecees joined her, she didn't look up. What if this is really the end? She asked. He hesitated, then said, or what if it's the beginning of something they can't control? Outside their home, paparazzi camped out. Inside, the pressure mounted. Rumors grew darker. Some claimed they had been officially fired. Others said negotiations were still happening. The silence from the network only fueled the fire. And just when Yandy thought it couldn't get worse, an unexpected name entered the conversation, someone from her past, someone who knew secrets that could change everything, and that's when she realized the real fight hadn't even started yet. The name hit Yandy like a cold slap to the face. She hadn't heard it spoken out loud in years, not without tension following immediately after. When the message came through, she read it twice, then a third time, just to make sure she wasn't imagining it. We need to talk. They called me too. Her stomach dropped. This wasn't coincidence. This was coordination. Someone was pulling strings, and they were pulling them fast. Mendeecees noticed the shift in her energy right away. Who is it? He asked. Yandy hesitated. That pause said everything. Someone who knows where all the bodies are buried, she finally said. Emotions ran high as the weight of the situation settled between them. This wasn't just about a show anymore. This was about reputation, survival, and control of a narrative that was slipping through their fingers. The next day, the rumors escalated from whispers to declarations. Blogs boldly claimed the couple had been officially fired. Fans are shocked as screenshots of alleged emails and producer confirmations circulated nonstop. No one knew what was real, but everyone was reacting like it was. Yandy's phone rang again and again, but she stopped answering. Every call felt like another trap. Another chance for someone to twist her words. Meanwhile, inside the network offices, panic was setting in. The leak had gone further than expected. One executive demanded to know who had spoken. Fingers were pointed. Trust eroded. This is turning into a disaster, someone said. Another replied, it was always going to. What they didn't realize was that the chaos they feared was only half of what was coming. Yandy finally agreed to meet the person from her past. Neutral location. No cameras. No phones on the table. When she walked in and saw them sitting there, memories flooded back instantly. Old fights. Old alliances. Things that were never meant to be public. I didn't think I'd hear from you again, Yandy said cautiously. The response was calm but loaded. Neither did I, until they dragged my name into this. The conversation was tense from the start. Accusations flew softly but sharply. They asked me about you, the person said. Yandy's eyes narrowed. About what? A pause. About how much influence you really had. Yandy leaned back, crossing her arms. And what did you tell them? The answer wasn't what she expected. The truth. That word echoed again. Truth. Whose truth? Yandy felt betrayed all over again. You know how they twist things, she snapped. The person shrugged. They didn't have to twist much. Silence fell between them. The family was left divided once more, not just emotionally, but strategically. Alliances were collapsing faster than they could be rebuilt. When Yandy got home, she didn't speak for hours. Mendeecees watched her, knowing better than to push. Finally, she said, they're building a case. Mendeecees clenched his jaw. For what? She looked at him. To justify cutting us off publicly. His voice rose. So we're guilty now? She shook her head. We're convenient. That night, Mendeecees went live unexpectedly. No announcement, no warning, just him, staring straight into the camera. I'm seeing a lot of lies out there, he said. Fans flooded the comments instantly. Hearts, fire emojis, questions flying too fast to read. Don't believe everything you hear, he continued. Some people want to erase us because we don't play by their rules. The clip went viral in minutes. The reaction was explosive. Fans are shocked by his boldness. Some praised him for speaking out. Others accused him of making things worse. Yandy watched from the other room, torn between pride and fear. When he ended the live, she confronted him. You just poured gasoline on the fire, she said. Mendeecees fired back, I'm tired of being quiet. Voices rose. Old arguments resurfaced. The stress cracked open issues they had buried for years. This is exactly what they want, Yandy said, tears in her eyes. Is fighting. Mendeecees stopped, realizing she was right. He sat down heavily. I don't know how to fight this, he admitted. Yandy softened. Neither do I, but we have to do it together. The next twist came fast. A former producer went on a podcast, hinting that certain cast members overstayed their welcome. They didn't say names, but they didn't have to. Fans filled in the blanks instantly. The narrative was being shaped without them, and it was ugly. Yandy felt powerless in a way she hadn't felt in years. Then came a private email, sent late at night. Not from the network, but from someone even higher up. It was short, polite, devastating. We are considering all options moving forward. Yandy stared at the screen, heart-pounding. Considering. That word meant everything and nothing at the same time. Hope and doom wrapped into one sentence. She forwarded it to Mendeecees. This is it, she said. This is the line. Mendeecees exhaled slowly. Then we stop reacting, he said. And we start planning. Yandy looked at him, surprised. Planning what? He met her gaze. Our exit. On our terms. As dawn broke, Yandy sat by the window, watching the city wake up. She realized something painful but freeing. The show had given her a platform, but it had also taken pieces of her she could never get back. Maybe this firing, this betrayal, was also a release. But before she could fully embrace that thought, her phone buzzed again with a new alert. Another leak, another accusation, this one more personal than ever. And as she read it, her hands began to shake, because this time, it dragged their children into the conversation, and that was a line she knew she could never allow anyone to cross. The moment the children were mentioned, everything changed. Yandy's hands trembled as she read the post again and again, disbelief turning into rage. They crossed the line, she whispered. Mendeecees looked over her shoulder, his face darkening with every word. The rumor painted their family as unstable, questioned their parenting, and hinted that the chaos surrounding the show was somehow damaging their kids. Fans are shocked at how fast the narrative turned cruel, but for Yandy, it felt personal in a way nothing else had before. She slammed her phone down. I protected them, she said, voice breaking. I gave them my marriage, my mistakes, my pain, but I never gave them my kids. Emotions ran high as years of compromise crashed down all at once. Mendeecees clenched his fists. They want us to react, he said. They want us to explode. Yandy looked at him, eyes burning. No, she replied. They want me to beg. Instead of reacting publicly, Yandy made a decision that stunned everyone close to her. She went silent. No posts. No statements. No indirect quotes. The sudden quiet only made the internet louder. Fans are shocked by her disappearance. Bloggers speculated wildly. Some claimed it confirmed guilt. Others believed something big was coming. Behind closed doors, Yandy was making calls, having conversations she never thought she'd need to have. One of those calls went to a longtime friend who had quietly distanced themselves over the years. When they answered, the tension was immediate. "I know why you're calling," the friend said. Yandy didn't waste time. "Then tell me why you let them say those things." A pause. "Then, because I was scared." The admission hung heavy. The family was left divided yet again, this time by fear. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was dealing with his own storm. Old associates reached out, some offering support, others warning him to stay quiet. "They're building a story," one voice told him. "And it doesn't end well if you fight it the wrong way." Mendeecees laughed bitterly. "I've been fighting stories my whole life," he replied. But deep down, he knew this one felt different. This one threatened to rewrite who he was in the public eye forever. The network finally broke its silence, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of a clear confirmation or denial, they released a vague statement about ongoing discussions and creative direction. Fans are shocked by how cold and corporate it sounded. Yandy read it once and shook her head. "They're distancing," she said. "They want to look clean when this explodes." That explosion came faster than anyone predicted. A leaked audio clip surfaced online, allegedly from a production meeting. Voices were distorted, but the context was clear. Someone mentioned Yandy by name, calling her difficult and too influential. Another voice suggested cutting ties would reset the franchise. The clip spread like wildfire. Fans are shocked, furious, divided. Hashtags trended within hours. Yandy listened to the clip alone, sitting in her closet with the door closed. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat there, absorbing the final confirmation of what she had suspected all along. "They never wanted a partner," she said quietly to herself. "They wanted control." When she emerged, Mendeecees could see the shift. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "I'm clear." With that clarity came a risky move. Yandy reached out to the same producer everyone believed had leaked the rumors in the first place. The call was tense from the first second. "Why are you doing this?" Yandy asked. The producer didn't deny anything. "Because I'm tired," they said. "And because you weren't supposed to last this long." Yandy let out a short laugh. "So this is punishment?" The response was chilling. "This is cleanup." Those words haunted her. Cleanup. Erasing influence. Rewriting history. Yandy realized that staying silent forever wasn't an option. But speaking recklessly would destroy everything she was trying to protect. The balance felt impossible. Mendeecees watched her struggle and finally said, "Maybe this isn't about saving the show." Yandy looked at him. "Then what is it about?" He answered without hesitation. "Saving us." Just as they began discussing a joint statement, another twist dropped. A cast member went live, visibly emotional, claiming they had been warned not to speak up for Yandy. The implication was clear. Loyalty had consequences. The family was left divided once more, as fans argued over who was telling the truth and who was playing victim. Yandy closed her eyes, feeling the walls closing in. Every move she made now felt like it would trigger another leak, another accusation. But deep inside, something hardened. "They underestimated me," she said. Mendeecees nodded. "They always do." What neither of them knew yet was that the next step Yandy was about to take would force everyone involved to choose sides publicly, and once that happened, there would be no turning back at all. Yandy didn't sleep that night. Every hour felt heavier than the last, her mind replaying conversations, faces, moments she once brushed off as just TV. By morning, she made a decision that would shift everything. She wasn't going to let others finish her story. If they wanted a war of narratives, she would choose the battlefield carefully. Not with emotion, not with leaks, but with timing. Mendeecees noticed the change as soon as she came downstairs. Calm, focused, almost detached. "What are you thinking?" he asked. Yandy poured her coffee slowly before answering. "I'm thinking they forgot who taught them how to make moments matter." Emotions ran high beneath her calm voice. She wasn't panicking anymore. She was preparing. She reached out to a respected journalist, someone known for long-form interviews rather than clickbait. No gossip blogs, no lives, no cryptic posts. A controlled sit-down. When the request leaked that Yandy was shopping an interview, the internet went wild. Fans are shocked by how fast opinions flipped. "She's about to expose everything," some said. Others accused her of playing victim. The pressure intensified, exactly as the network feared. Inside the production offices, alarms went off. Emergency meetings were called again. One executive asked, "What does she know?" Another responded, "Enough to hurt us." They debated damage control, legal threats, and even last-minute negotiations. But trust was already gone. She's unpredictable now, someone said. The irony hung heavy in the room. Mendeecees, meanwhile, was pulled into a separate storm. An old clip resurfaced, taken completely out of context, fueling another wave of criticism. Fans are shocked at how quickly the narrative shifted back onto him. Yandy watched it all unfold and felt the familiar urge to jump in and defend him publicly. This time, she didn't. They want us separated, she said. Divided voices are easier to drown out. Mendeecees nodded, though it wasn't easy. Years of being misrepresented had left scars that still burned. The day of the interview arrived quietly. No announcement, no build-up, just Yandy walking into a neutral studio, no glam squad, no entourage. When the first question came, she didn't flinch. Did you get fired? The journalist asked. Yandy took a breath. What I can say, she replied carefully, is that some people decided my presence was no longer convenient. Fans are shocked when clips leaked from the taping began circulating within hours. She spoke about boundaries being crossed, about family being used as leverage, about power dynamics that viewers never see. She never named names, but the message was clear. Emotions ran high as viewers heard her voice steady but wounded. I gave them access to my life, she said. Not ownership of it. The family was left divided all over again as fans debated whether she was exposing truth or spinning it. The network responded swiftly, releasing another statement emphasizing professionalism and denying retaliation. But this time, it didn't land. The comments were brutal. Why won't you just say what happened? Why does this sound guilty? The tide was turning, and they could feel it. Then came the twist nobody expected. A second voice spoke up. A former crew member posted a long message online, backing Yandy's claims without being asked. They described toxic power struggles, selective storytelling, and pressure tactics used to silence cast members. Fans are shocked as the post went viral within minutes. Suddenly, Yandy wasn't alone. Mendeecees read the post twice, then looked at Yandy. This changes things, he said. Yandy nodded, but her expression was cautious. It changes the noise, she replied. Not the outcome. She knew support could be temporary. Outrage fades. Contracts don't. Behind the scenes, lawyers moved faster. Cease and desist letters were drafted. Threats were implied. Yandy expected it. What she didn't expect was the call she received late that night. A high-level executive, voice calm but tense. We need to talk, they said. Yandy didn't hesitate. Then talk. The conversation was polite on the surface, but sharp underneath. This doesn't have to end badly, the executive said. Yandy responded calmly, it already did. Silence followed. Then the question she had been waiting for. What do you want? Yandy didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was steady. Respect. And the truth. The executive sighed. That's complicated. Yandy smiled sadly. It always is when power is involved. When the call ended, she felt something unexpected. Relief. Whatever happened next, she had stopped running from it. Mendeecees wrapped an arm around her. Proud of you, he said quietly. Yandy leaned into him. Whatever happens, she replied, we walk through it together. Outside, the noise continued. Speculation, outrage, support, backlash. But inside their home, a strange calm settled in. What neither of them realized yet was that this interview, this moment of control, had forced the network's hand. Decisions would now be made quickly, not carefully. And the final move, the one that would officially seal their fate with the show and reshape the franchise forever, was already in motion, just waiting for the right moment to drop. After everything you just heard, one question still hangs in the air, heavy and unanswered. Was this really the end for Yandy and Mendeecees, or was it the beginning of a new chapter nobody saw coming? Fans are shocked by how quickly everything unraveled, but what's even more shocking is how much still remains hidden. Confirmations were hinted at, statements were carefully worded, and silence was used as a weapon. Yet behind all of that, there are still unanswered questions that refuse to go away. Did the producers truly cross a line they can never come back from? Was this about control, power, and influence, or was there one final secret that forced their hand? And if Yandy and Mendeecees were really fired, why does it feel like the full truth is still being held back? Emotions ran high throughout this entire saga, and the family was left divided not just on screen, but in the court of public opinion. Some fans feel betrayed, others feel protective, many are just confused, trying to separate reality from the carefully crafted narratives they've been fed for years. And now, it's your turn to weigh in. You've seen the drama, you've heard the rumors, you've felt the tension build with every twist and every leak. So what do you think really happened behind closed doors? Was this a justified decision, or was it a calculated move to silence voices that became too powerful? Do you believe Yandy and Mendeecees were pushed out, or do you think they chose to walk away before things got even uglier? This story isn't over, not by a long shot. More voices could still speak up. More receipts could still surface. And the fallout from this decision could reshape the future of reality TV in ways nobody expects. But one thing is certain, the truth always has a way of surfacing, even when powerful people try to bury it. If you made it this far, make sure you hit the like button to let us know you want more deep dives like this. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss the next update, because trust us, this situation is still developing and things can change fast. And most importantly, drop a comment right now. Tell us whose side you're on, what shocked you the most, and what you think is going to happen next. Do you think this was the final nail in the coffin, or just the calm before an even bigger storm? Sound off below, because your voice matters in this conversation. Stay locked in, stay curious, and stay ready, because when the next piece of this story drops, you'll want to be here to hear it first.